If you're an agency owner making less than 10K per month, then this video is probably the most important one you will ever watch in your entire life. Because after working with more than 174 agencies one-on-one, I just cracked the code on what separates agencies scaling past 30K a month and agencies staying stuck at zero. And I mean, of course, the strategies are important and my clients have the best strategies in the world. But if you follow this video until the end, you will actually start to see for the first time. And what I will show you in this video will probably also get you your first Onyx client without even changing anything about what you currently do. And it took me more than 2 weeks to actually put this video together and articulate everything in the right way. But this video is just a life changer for everybody. So let's dive into it. So as you probably saw, this video is all about beliefs and how you can break free from the chains holding you back from signing your first client or moving forward in your agency or business. So we first have to understand what a belief actually is. And belief is simply an articulated statement of perceived truth. So it's something that you believe to be true about a certain topic. Okay? And two people can have two completely different beliefs about one topic. And both can be wrong or right because we don't see things for what they are, but for what we believe to be true about them. Okay, so two people can look at the same thing, at the same topic, for example, at appointment booking or at getting clients, and they can perceive it completely different. And most likely, none of them is right about the thing because the thing is just there. It's just something that exists, and people perceive it differently based on their beliefs and what they believe to be true about the thing. So, reality is distorted by your paradigm. Okay, and your paradigm is basically a lens you wear, which is influenced by your beliefs. Okay, if you have certain beliefs, your lenses may be red or green, and that changes how you see things. Okay, so based on your beliefs, so based on what you believe to be true about a certain topic, you create a lens, right? So basically a pair of glasses. And this is the lens you're always wearing when you look at this topic. Okay, and depending on what you believe to be true about this topic, your lenses can be red, green, black, white, whatever. Okay, and because of that, what you see will be different from what actually is in front of you, right? Because you perceive it differently because of the color of your lenses. So let's say in this really simple example that we have two people, right? And we have like a yellow circle, okay? And both of them have different paradigms because both of them have different beliefs about the topic. Okay, for example, one of them believes that yellow is ugly, and one of them believes that yellow is a beautiful color, just as like a super random example, but everything will make sense in a second. So both of them have different paradigms, so different colors of lenses, because they have different beliefs about the circle, about the topic. Okay, so if both of them look at the circle, both of them will see the same circle, but both of them will perceive it differently. Okay, and one will say, hey, the circle is green, right, because their lens is green. And one of them will say, hey, the circle is orange because their lens is red. Okay, so none of them are right, but both believe to be right because both can clearly see that it's green or in this case orange, right? But in reality, it's like yellow, like none of them is right. And these people will argue, and both of them believe that they are right because it's their paradigm, right? And people are not aware of that what they see only exists because of their paradigm, and it's not the thing actually in front of them. Okay, that's really important to understand. So to give you like a better example, which is more connected to business, because I hope you get the point by now. Let's say that the yellow circle actually is getting clients. And one agency owner perceives it as it's super easy to get clients. And the other one perceives it as it's super hard to get clients. All right. And now both of them look at the same thing. So both of them look at getting clients, but one of them believes, hey, it's super easy to get clients. And one of them believes, hey, it's super hard to get clients. So both of them have a different perceived statement of truth about the topic, and none of them is right. Okay. So your beliefs shape the pair of glasses you wear, which then ultimately determine how you see everything around you. Okay. And this is really important to understand. So what you believe to be true about the topic influences what you believe to be true about yourself in regard to the topic. Okay. This will influence which decisions and options you perceive. This will influence how you act and behave in regard to the topic, and this will finally influence the results you get. Okay, so this is really important to understand, and I will give you an example. Let's say you believe that sales is hard and that sales calls are super scary for you. If you believe this to be true about the topic of sales, then you will believe about yourself that you are bad at sales. Okay, so if you believe that sales is hard, you will believe, hey, I'm bad at sales. Therefore, you will perceive different options in terms of having sales calls. Okay, so if you believe that sales is hard and you believe that you're bad at sales, then you will probably see as the only option that you hire somebody like a closer, like a commission-based sales rep in order to take your sales calls. right? And this will also influence how you act and behave. So you will actually do it. So you will actually spend months or like weeks finding somebody who is qualified to take all your sales calls. So you will hire somebody, which does absolutely not make sense in the beginning. And therefore you will get different results, right? Therefore, getting your first client will be delayed by like months because you are just finding somebody before even reaching out to clients. Plus, he will probably do not get good results because he won't be a good sales reps if he basically joins a company who is like not even existing. Plus, you are like the best closer of your offer, right? Because you're the only one knowing exactly what's going on in your company and what exactly you offer. So you see, if you actually want to change the results, so how many clients you get, how much you can charge, and how successful your agency will become, you just have to change how you act. But for changing this one, you have to change which options you perceive. For changing this one, you have to change what you believe to be true about yourself in regard to the topic. And for changing this one, you ultimately just have to change what you believe to be true about the topic itself. So if you want to have different results, you cannot just basically change your behavior because your behavior is influenced by the other things. So to get different results, you basically have to change what's at the top. So what you believe to be true about the topic. Okay. And before we can dive into how you can actually shape your reality and make a ton of money in your business or agency, we need to understand how beliefs are formed in the first place. Okay? Because if you can change our beliefs, we can change how we see things, perceive different options, make different decisions, which leads to different, hopefully better outcomes and results. All right. So again, if you can change your belief right here, everything else will change and you will get different, hopefully better results. Most beliefs actually come from your childhood because a child's brain believes everything. It has no ability to think critically. Okay. Therefore, you hear a statement from an authoritative figure, for example, your parents, a teacher, etc., and you believe it to be true. Okay. And this becomes your statement of truth. Okay. So this becomes your articulate statement of perceived truth. From this point on, you try to find evidence for the statement, and you perceive the world in a way that it will provide you with the evidence you're looking for. So let's say, as an example, your parents tell you that money is hard to make. Okay, you believe it and start perceiving the world with a different lens and start to see only people who struggle to make money, and it confirms your belief and you start to act in accordance with it. Okay, so you have a statement of truth, something you believe to be true because you heard it in your past from your parents, your teachers, or somebody else. Then this statement of truth basically crafts a lens for you, right? So as I showed you above, what you believe to be true basically dictates your paradigm, and your paradigm is basically the lens you wear, which is influenced by your beliefs, right? So the paradigm you have, the lens you wear, is indirected by the statement of perceived truth. Okay, so now you go through life wearing a lens, and you will find evidence for everything because now you see the world through a lens which is influenced by the statement of truth and what you believe to be true about the world. And now you find evidence for everything, and this amplifies your statement of truth, and it just makes the whole cycle run faster and faster, right? You believe it, you have a new lens, you find evidence for it, you believe it even more, your lens becomes like thicker, and you find more evidence for it. Okay, and at one point you cannot change it anymore. Like you can, I will show you how in just a second, but people are not aware of this at a certain age anymore because they believe so much that this is right about the thing. Okay. So, as stated above, we don't see reality for what it is, but for what our lens allows us to see. So, as I showed you above, two people can look at the same thing, but they can perceive it differently because of their lens. They don't see it for what it is. And the lens is formed by our beliefs, right? And the beliefs come from a statement of truth which got confirmed by wrong evidence. So, you found evidence which is not even true, right? You only found it because of the lens you wear. And this works in every single area of your life, not only in business. Right, so again, this is like the chain, right? So what you believe to be true about a certain topic then changes what you believe to be true about yourself in regard to the topic. This changes which decisions and options you perceive. This changes how you act and behave in regard to the topic, and this changes which results you get. Okay, so in order to change the results, we cannot simply change our behavior because we will always perceive the same options, right? So we are not even able to change our behavior because we cannot see any other options. So we need to change what we believe to be true about something so the whole chain changes. Okay. So first of all, we need to change our statement of truth. So what we believe to be true about something. And in order to change it, we first of all need to become aware of our current statements of truth and beliefs. Because without knowing what you believe to be true about a certain topic, you won't be able to change it. Okay. So what you want to do is you basically want to follow this chain and map out this chain for every area of your life, or at least for all the important areas of your life. For example, appointment booking, sales, and getting clients. Okay, and you can break it down like this. So we start with the statement of truth, so what you believe to be true about a certain topic. Okay, in this case, for example, cold calling doesn't work. Therefore, I believe that cold calling won't work for me. Okay, so because of the statement of truth, so what you believe to be true about something, you then identify with somebody who is not able to make cold calling work. Okay, therefore, the only viable option to get clients is LinkedIn or email. Okay, because you believe this to be true about yourself, the only options you perceive are these two, right? Therefore, I don't even try cold calling and don't put effort into it. So since you only see these options because you believe this to be true about yourself and about the topic, you don't even try cold calling and you just try different methods, right? And therefore, you won't book appointments. I mean, you can book appointments with LinkedIn and email, but let's say that cold calling works best for you, right? But in this case, you won't book appointments because you don't even try it. And you don't try it because you believe that there are only two options, because you believe this to be true about yourself, and because this is your statement of truth. Okay, so become aware of these changes for every area of your life. Start with the statement of truth and work through it. Okay, so you start with what you believe to be true about a certain topic. It takes time, so take time, sit down and just think about it, and then just work through the chain and just break it down with like therefore, and go deeper until you have the result, and then you know exactly, hey, this is the result I currently get, and I only get it because this is my statement of truth. Okay. So, as I said, the problem is always the statement of truth, because if you change it, you change the whole chain and you also change the outcome. If you become aware of it and you're able to change it, you're able to change your results at the bottom. So, after you made this change, it's time to reframe them and act in alignment. Okay, take your chain and just reverse it. So, after you mapped out these chains for the different topics, you now can reverse them and create a new reality out of them. Okay, so what you do now is you basically just reverse every single step. Okay, so instead of saying cold calling doesn't work, you say cold calling works. Therefore, I believe that cold calling will work for me. Therefore, I see cold calling as a viable option to get clients. Therefore, I start doing 50 cold calls per day, track results, and optimize my scripts. Therefore, I book appointments. Okay, so it's so funny, but just because you change what you believe to be true about a topic, so the statement of truth, you change what you believe about yourself, you change which options you perceive, you change your behavior, right? So now you basically start doing cold calls because you believe it's a viable option and you believe that it will work for you. And therefore you book appointments, right? So you have like a complete different outcome and you achieve your goal by booking appointments, getting clients, just because you changed your statement of truth, right? And now just do this for every single chain you created so that you have 3 reframed and reversed chains. And you learned above that after you hear the new statement of truth and you take it for granted, your mind starts to look for evidence. Our goal now is to do the same with the new statement of truth. So, what happened a couple of years ago, so that you heard like a statement which you took for granted, this is what we're now trying to do with our new statement of truth, so that there's like a new lens created and you collect evidence for the new right and good statement of truth. So we can then amplify it, find out proof for it, and make the whole cycle run in like a positive way. Okay. So, and here it's basically important to understand that our mind cannot differentiate between real and imagined. So, evidence you experience in real life is as strong as evidence from a situation you just lived through in your head. Okay, so let's do a little thought experiment. Remember a really awkward situation you experienced. Okay, so imagine yourself in this situation again right now and imagine all the details. How do you feel now? Do you feel the same feelings as back then? Probably yes, because your mind cannot differentiate between imagined and being in the situation for real. So you just created a situation which isn't real, but your body already started reacting. And now we need to do the same for the new statement of truth. You need to create situations which confirm it, situations which give you the evidence to believe it. So for our example above, since our new statement of truth is cold calling works, you now need to imagine yourself doing cold calls, getting success, and booking appointments. So collect evidence for the statement. So now just run through situations and scenarios in your head. You can do this like while meditating, and it's really important to do this on like a frequently basis because you cannot change your beliefs in like 1 or 2 hours. You need to do this like every single day for the next weeks or even months. And at one point, you saw so much evidence that a new lens is created, right? You start to believe the statement of truth, therefore a new lens is created, therefore you see even more evidence, and because of the new evidence, you start to believe the statement of truth even more. But you do not only have to imagine these scenarios and like these situations, but you can also force yourself into real life experiences and situations which give you the evidence to believe the new statement of truth. Okay, so while doing like your meditation settings and while looking for evidence, so creating situations that align with your statement of truth, you can then look up somebody doing cold calls in your niche on YouTube and count how many calls he books so that you actually see, hey, it's working, right? That you find evidence for cold calling works in your niche. And you just need enough evidence to believe the new statement of truth. And sometimes it takes time and a lot of evidence if your old statement of truth was set years ago. And this is how it now looks, okay? This is you. And there are millions of dots, like situations, scenarios, or like things that either help you believe the new statement of truth, so evidence, or the opposite. Okay. And you want to now basically just look at the things who are evidence. For example, that there's a guy booking 20 calls a month in your niche doing cold calls, or that you create a scenario in your head where you are sitting there doing cold calls and booking 5 calls a day. So you want to just search for evidence, so things that are actually helping you believe the new statement of truth. And once you did this, once you focused on these evidence points for long enough, a new lens will be crafted. Right? So you see like the hammer is basically creating a new lens, which is now created on the statement of truth. So what you believe to be true, in this case, that cold calling works. And therefore, it's much easier for you to find further evidence because with your new lens, you will just perceive these green dots, not like the black dots. Right? And therefore, it becomes stronger and stronger. And at one point, you truly believe the new statement of truth. And once you collected enough evidence to truly believe the statement of truth, a new lens is crafted through which you will now see the world. And this will ultimately lead to, first of all, what you believe to be true about yourself in regard to the topic, which decisions and options you perceive, how you act and behave in regard to the topic, and then which results you get. So now you basically just activated the cycle. Now you believe that cold calling works. Therefore, you believe that cold calling will work for you. Therefore, you see cold calling as a viable option to get clients. Therefore, you start doing cold calls, track the results, and optimize the scripts. And therefore, you start to book appointments. It's so funny, but your new statement of truth now changed your results. And now you are able to get clients. I hope you enjoyed the video. It took me quite some while to put it together and put all my notes and understandings into like an actionable video and like resource. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to subscribe to this channel because in the future there will be much more in-depth videos about psychological areas of your agency, getting clients, and just all the best strategies that I've used for myself and for my clients to book a lot of appointments, get clients, and deliver great results. See you in the next one.